Number and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. How the heck are you? Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. I would like to congratulate Jake, as he only has 2 weeks until he is out this piece.
Out this piece,
yo. Get ready, because we're going to take another 10 days off. That's right. We'll be off from the 23rd until the first week of December, because I will be sunning my whale ass on the beach in Hawaii.
Whale ass.
Yeah, you know.
Wow.
I'm beautiful nude. The point is, that was awkward. You should subscribe to this channel because we're giving away this Xbox Series S and all 120 of its frame rates per second.
Okay.
All you have to do is subscribe to this channel. Just hit subscribe. Take a photo that you're subscribed.
Do it now.
You slimy. Anyway.
Okay.
And then tag us on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok and
stuff
with the photo and
Okay.
tag me, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, and douche raggery over there. Jake is SLC Supercars. I'll stop talking like that. I don't know. I got a lot of sleep last night.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I actually went to bed very early.
Okay.
Which is uncharacteristic for me. Usually, especially when I am crabby, and I was crabby, admittedly. I have like 51 spam messages in my box right now. You don't want spam in your box, ladies. But my point is, I was crabby when I went to bed last night, and I don't really have a reason for that.
You just were?
I just was. And I don't know why.
Okay, but you slept good.
I did sleep well. The Bulls won, so, I feel like that's always a pacifier for me going to bed.
Right.
When the Bulls dominate and, you just. So
Right.
I got 6.5 hours of sleep last night, which is.
Okay, wow.
That's a
lot of sleep
for me,
there, kid.
I'm usually banging like 5.5 hours, and I'll be in bed for like 6 hours. No, I was asleep. I was out. I woke up at 2:00 to have my nightly visit with nighttime pee guy, and then I went right back to sleep. But last night was one of those weird nights where my wife had me like an inch of bed space left for me and Marge, who is my body pillow.
Oh.
I named my body pillow Marge. But you know how like when you cuddle and it's like, honey, it's very cold. Let's cuddle. And you're like on the edge of the California King mattress.
Bet you weren't expecting this one.
No, that was a little sus. And so that was like my thing. I woke up at 2:00.
So you were on the edge of the bed.
Yes, I was holding on to Marge for dear life.
And Mrs. Monty was behind you, or like she was laying like in the middle of the bed?
No, she was right behind me.
Yeah.
Like she had her entire side of the mattress wide open.
Well.
Nice, like clean pasture. Did she go there? No. Of course she didn't. So anyway, she doesn't even, she's sitting like right here on the Peloton, doesn't even know we're talking about.
Has no idea.
She probably does, but
Yeah.
whatever. Let's talk a little Jazz coming up here in a minute. If you're listening to the show now, start thinking about the untouchables on this roster and start thinking about where the Jazz need to improve and who you're willing to give up to do that. Because we're going to talk about that in a minute, as there is a point guard name being linked to the Jazz. But I'll tell you why they're not going to trade for that guy and who that guy is and why they would like to but probably won't be able. Anyway, the point is we'll talk Jazz coming up in a minute. But I want to start with BYU in this big conversation. Yeah, this big conversation about BYU in a NY6 Bowl, which is fascinating to me because we've had a lot of talks about this exact conversation. And yesterday on the show, it appears that we kind of lit the world on fire with the idea that, oh, you're Mormon? You don't have to be nice when you have on football pads in Saturday afternoon at Lavelle Edwards Stadium. There tends to be this belief that because it's BYU, sportsmanship comes above all. Well, actually, it doesn't. When you've been dreaming of a NY6 Bowl and a seat at the table for Lord knows how long, and now you finally have that opportunity And now you want to be nice and show sportsmanship and play the 7th string guy. I totally disagree with this. And I know we talked about this quite a bit on the show yesterday. We ran a Twitter poll for the last 5 hours of yesterday, and I'm amazed to see. I am amazed to see that more BYU fans would rather play sportsmanship than actually going to a New Year's Six Bowl. And by sportsmanship, I mean not scoring 70 points against Idaho State. You know, hey, let's not. I had one person on Twitter last night say, don't play a single starter against Georgia State. Let's rest everybody and get a look at our 4th and 5th string running backs. And I'm just asking, and maybe, Jake, I'm confused.
Right.
Why do you lift all those weights?
Right.
Do you really not understand how close you are to everything that you have been complaining about for a decade in independence? You are here right now with the ability to control what you can control, which is pound Georgia Southern into the core of the earth, score 70 points.
I'll drop that motherfucker.
And then go win the game at USC and put yourself in a very good opportunity to get a New Year's Six Bowl. All of that is ahead of you. And yet you don't want to play starters and you want to take it easy. And we want to be nice and friendly and stuff. We'll be friends. Instead of achieving all of the goals that we set forth 10 years ago when we started independence.
Yeah, I want to remind people, where the conversation used to be with BYU, because I think part of this conversation is I think BYU fan has simply just forgotten what the conversation around this program used to be. As much as, the past got brought up when Bronco came to Lavelle, in the Virginia game, I feel like people have forgotten where this team once was, which is, hey, the conversation, we've been doing this show for, 6 years now? Something like that, 5-6 years now. I can remember in the early stages of this show, us having conversations about the fact that BYU was just happy to get 6 wins. BYU was just happy to get to a bowl game, much less a New Year's Six Bowl game, much less a sniff, a blip on the radar of the college football playoff, right? So I feel like BYU fan right now has somehow forgotten about that or forgotten just how long and winding and just tiresome the road has been to get here. So for me, I understand that, the LDS community, the Mormon community is about serving, others and taking care of your neighbor and, and that whole dynamic. But to me, I'm just really surprised by this. Frankly, I'm shocked that on the football field, right? On the football field, you still want to be nice to people. We're not suiting up to be nice to people. That like that, I guess maybe the true difference here, and I would love to hear people in the comments, answer this question. Maybe the true difference is that, folks who grew up in Utah in the LDS faith and are BYU fans are like, hey, the faith comes first, like the way we operate as humans comes first, and whether we win or not does not matter. But then those same people cannot complain or criticize Bronco 5 years ago or Kalani now for not being relevant, let's say, or for not getting to the bowl. You can't have it both ways.
Right, but I also feel like BYU fan has gotten comfortable.
Yeah.
The victim card has been taken away from BYU fan. You can no longer be TDS. You can no longer be, just that other program that plays football because that's what
little brother
do, right? That's not who BYU is anymore. BYU, without a doubt, look at all this controversy over the, the name, image, and likeness stuff that's going on, and this idiot basketball father at Utah trying to get BYU in trouble. And BYU is dominating recruiting in this state right now. BYU is dominating the football story, and Utah is on the verge of a Rose Bowl bid. And BYU is dominating the football talk in this town.
Yeah.
If you look at where BYU is, they're about to join the best basketball conference in the country. They're about to join the Big 12. You've finally beaten Utah And now, as a BYU fan, you take your foot off the gas. And now, as a BYU fan, you've gotten comfortable. We don't need a New Year's 6 berth. You don't? Are you serious? Let me read you some of the Twitter comments. And this is simply shocking to me. When I read things like Conference of the 12 says on Twitter, I actually think we needed to start the backups to get prepped for next year. You're already talking about next year? You're just blowing off a New Year's 6 bowl bid.
Why is that?
Are you kidding me? Do you know what has been sacrificed and what has been given to get BYU football to where they are? Do you understand what Tom Holmoe has done to get BYU football into the Big 12? Do you understand the sacrifice, the work, the blood, the sweat, the tears of the last decade of independence to get you to the doorstep of a New Year's 6 bowl, and now you don't even want it? And I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It is shocking to me.
Why don't you want it? I mean, I think it's really important. I mean, obviously we read a lot of comments on this show every single day, but I would love to hear from people. Why don't you want it? What is the mental block? I mean, we see this all the time in the world. Like, we're in, sales. It's no secret, right? So like, a lot of times, I hear from people, oh, well, wow, this crazy thing just happened. I had this amazing day, and I don't think I deserve that. I think I got lucky. And it's almost kind of like that same mentality with BYU fan. It's almost as if you think that because you can't get into the college football playoff, that a New Year's 6 bowl doesn't even matter. That being top 12, and really ideally after you beat USC, assuming you beat USC, being a top 10 team in the nation, like that doesn't matter. And my question is, okay, if that doesn't matter, what exactly are you playing for? What exactly is the point of going to all the games? So you're just playing football games to have fun? Is that what we're saying? In the BYU community, when you played Utah and you beat Utah, was this thought in your head? Oh, well, we're just going to play our second stringers because, this game doesn't matter. No, you wanted to beat Utah. So it's personal against Utah, but when we're talking about a New Year's 6 bowl and success for the program in the big picture, you don't really care about that. And that's what's kind of surprising to me, because if you can get to a New Year's 6 bowl this year, that's going to bring an influx of money. That's going to bring even more exposure. That just brings all these good things to the program.
But think about what a New Year's 6 bowl means, just revenue-wise, millions of dollars. Think about what a New Year's 6 bowl means recruiting-wise. You can't even you can't even put into words the leverage that an independent breaking through the barrier, getting to a New Year's 6 bowl, what that leverage would mean for the long-term recruiting power that BYU would wrestle away from Utah, from the ability to flip recruits, the ability to be able to walk into any living room. You're having conversations right now with kids that are contemplating Alabama, Florida, and BYU as a football decision. Now, you get to a New Year's 6 bowl, you're on national television, a captive audience. You've got 60,000 BYU fans in a stadium on national TV. You have achieved things that people said you'd never be able to achieve as an independent. And you just want to throw that away. You're like, nah, let's play depth. Oh, man, it was really good to see Jackson McChesney. It wasn't really good to see him. And everybody's like, well, injuries happen. It's football. Well, what if you gave the ball to Jackson McChesney and he blew his knee out and his career ended because you were soft?
And hold on. If we're talking about injuries and Jackson, McChesney, what about the quarterback situation? BYU is telling you where they're at with this season because they're so hell-bent on playing what is assumed to be the number one in Jaron Hall. Let's not forget. Everyone wants to say, oh, well, season ended in the Boise game. Yeah, let's not forget what happened in the Boise game. You played a 50% healthy quarterback, dude. That's why everyone was pressing. That's why
I would
the
agree with
fumbles
that.
happened. So when we're talking about injuries and playing depth, well, if you wanted to play your depth, why did everyone give us, a ration of crap about our take on the fact that we think that Baylor Romney is a better fit in this system than Jaron Hall? Certainly a better fit than Jaron Hall, 50%. So I don't know. It's just a confusing thing. My personal opinion is that BYU still has everything to play for, and so does Utah. But in this conversation, BYU's got everything to play for. And if I'm a BYU fan, I'm pulling hard.
But that's not even an opinion. That's a fact.
Well, apparently it is an opinion
That's a
because
fact.
we have a ton of people, I'm sure, that are disagreeing about whether sportsmanship matters more than putting up 70 against Idaho State.
And the other thing is, people were talking about style points, and I think BYU football is, skyrocketing up the relevance chart, right? I mean, I don't think there's any doubt. But if you believe that the East Coast dominated NCAA and the East Coast dominated people that are going to make decisions on the college football playoff system, watch BYU football. If you really believe that BYU football is on the television set of a committee member when they're playing Georgia Southern or when they're playing, average school that is a filler game in November, Idaho State, you're wrong. Now, you want to know what really happens? They look at box scores. They're just going to go down the schedule. They're going to have I would guess, a printed piece of paper in their hand, and it's going to say Idaho State versus BYU. 59 points is nice, but how many times have you had the chance to score 60 points back-to-back games? How many times has BYU ever in the history of BYU football had that opportunity?
Why was it cool? Maybe a relevant question might be, why was it cool to score 60 plus the first week, but then against Idaho State you don't want to score 60 again?
Well, because it was Bronco in Virginia, and
so it was
sportsmanship.
personal.
Yes, sportsmanship wasn't a problem when you were scoring 66 against Bronco. Then why don't we try to just win every game by 1 point? It's a ridiculous premise. If you're a committee member and you see that BYU scored 70 points, let's say, against Idaho State, and then 70 more against Georgia Southern, and then 35 more against a really average USC defense.
And Algiers got 400 yards in 2 of those games and another 100 against USC.
I just don't even know. I don't even know how this is a conversation. And I think it goes back to BYU fans are comfortable. And I think it goes back, and I love Kalani Sitake. I think he is too nice. I think there's a lot of times where Kalani wants to be liked. And frankly, it's one of the things I always admired about Bronco Mendenhall. He didn't want to be liked. He just wanted to win. And I think that at BYU, so many people have this belief, well, but we're the church. And, we have to be nice. We don't have to be nice when we're playing football. What is the point of playing football if you are not trying to achieve at the highest level? And again, I just ask, and I don't mean to be redundant, what have the last 10 years been about then?
Nothing.
If you're not willing to do what needs to be done to get a New Year's Six bid, and this idea that that's no longer available is ridiculous.
What were people saying?
Ridiculous.
What were they saying? Was there a why behind that?
Listen, BYU will be one of the top 12 teams at the end of the season. They will be. My guess is that if they win the next 2 games, BYU will be a top 10 ranked team in the country when the season is over. And you really don't think there's an opportunity for them to get selected to a New Year's Six Bowl? What are you looking at? What are you thinking? The problem is when you just, I'm so glad we were nice, and, I'm so glad that they took some other school over us for a New Year's Six Bowl, because I really am just happy that Idaho State likes and respects us. I'm here to take respect. I'm not here to ask you to be my friend. We're playing football. Let's shake hands and bro hug after the game. And when you're on the ground and there's 30 seconds left and we've got 72 points, here's my hand, I'll help you up. That's sportsmanship. Sportsmanship is not taking it easy on somebody because, oh, we're nice people and we're a church-based institution. That's not what football's about. That's never been what BYU football's been about. It makes me crazy. Like it is so amazing to me that this is where we are talking about BYU. I am amazed by it. Let's see. James Knight, first in this morning. Good morning, James. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Eric C. says, Aztec family, good morning.
Old reliable.
Always in forever,
Let's
my friend.
go.
Thank you, Eric C., for the recommendation on Gomez's, by the way.
That was
really good.
fire, dude.
Tanner Plummer says, I agree, Monty, but I think a lot of BYU fans think a 2-loss BYU team is not getting into a New Year's Six Bowl. Then you don't know football. If you think that because BYU has 2 losses, they won't get a New Year's Six bid, I think you don't know how football works, and I think you don't know how the process works. I don't think you understand it. Jeremy Bolton says, good morning. Genuine question. Have those who determine who gets in the New Year's Six Bowl ever come out and said that style points matter? Yeah, absolutely they have. For generations, style points have mattered. No question about it. It is not, there is not a question in the world, especially, here's the thing. Style points are not one definition. So if it's BYU next to, pick a national powerhouse, Florida State, Alabama, not Alabama, Florida State, Auburn, Notre Dame. Well, you're probably picking Florida State, Auburn, or Notre Dame, right? Because they're going to bring more people to the television set, etc. Well, that's not the case anymore, right? BYU is going to bring 2 million people to a major bowl game on TV, and they're going to travel 60,000 strong. I think everybody would agree with that.
They've done it consistently.
So I don't think it's a question anymore of, well, it's BYU, it's the Mormons. No, it's not. That's not what it's about anymore. The ESPN contract, independence changed that. So what are style points now? Style points are, well, how do I justify taking, BYU over XYZ? Whoever that might be, right? Like, how do I justify taking BYU over this team? And the way you justify that is you're like, well, they did drop 70 points, 60 points minimum 3 weeks in a row. Look what they did to Virginia, and then they just went on and steamrolled Idaho State and Georgia Southern, and then look at that win. They scored 35, 40 points against USC. I mean, the resume's intact. But you don't have that because you're not going to score 60 points 3 games in a row. The story is what's being told. This is very much like the best way that I've ever heard it described is that you have the same process in the NFL Hall of Fame Veterans Committee as you do in bowl selection season. Whereas on the senior committee for the NFL Hall of Fame, you have one media member that advocates for this particular former player to get into the NFL or to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And they sit there and they have their time to make their case. They can use video, visuals, statistics. That's what happens. There is a lobby. There is a debate. So when you're sitting there and you're trying to make the case for BYU, well, hey, you know what? We're gonna get 2 million viewers here. We're gonna make good money on the ad rev. We're gonna sell a lot of tickets because we know that the BYU fan base is enormous. And look what they did to Allegiant Stadium against Arizona to open the season. An opening game against Arizona. What are they going to do in a New Year's Six Bowl? What are they going to do at the Cotton Bowl? That's how the process works. That is without question how the process works.
Yeah.
So when you talk about style points, yeah, style points absolutely matter. And if you just look at the rankings right now, right? Just look at the college football playoff rankings, which by the way, week 2 comes out tonight. Right? If you look at the rankings and you say, okay, well, who's around BYU right now?
So the couple of teams that are just ahead. You have Wake Forest at 13.
Wake Forest just lost. And if you look at Wake Forest in their resume, you're like, well, they beat Florida State, but Florida State's terrible this year.
Perfect example
Old
of style
Dominion.
points. Perfect example of style points, right? 50, they lose. Wake Forest loses 58-55. High scoring game.
I would remind you, Wake Forest beat Virginia 37-17. Well, but BYU put up 66 on Virginia. Right? Okay, well, they hung on to beat Louisville. BYU lost to Boise. Okay. Well, they hung on to beat Syracuse. Do you see where I'm going here? Like, you're going to have potentially six P5 wins at the end of this year. You need style points.
You need to be able to say, hey, we've got 6 P5 wins, and we laid an ass kicking on teams like Idaho State and Georgia Southern. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to say this, but it would have been nice to be able to say, yeah, we handled Boise. We did.
Well, look at UTSA. UTSA is another one that everybody's in love with. UTSA. Here their big win is Illinois. Lamar, Middle Tennessee, Memphis, UNLV, Western Kentucky, Rice, Louisiana Tech, and UTEP.
Wow. Real impressed.
Those are their big wins. BYU's got a far better resume. Oh, but UTSA is undefeated, but again, you're selling a story, right? You can understand. I would think at this point, I would hope that you can understand. Look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's 8-1, right? They lost to Cincinnati, right? And their wins are Florida State, barely. Toledo, barely. Purdue, they beat Wisconsin handily. They lost to Cincinnati. They barely beat Virginia Tech. They handle a really average USC team. They handled UNC. But, Wake Forest lost to UNC. Like, now we're playing like the compare-em game.
So this is
right?
the conversation that's had, which is why, again, I just want to keep pointing this out as we go through this. That's why having 60 or 70 against some crap team in Idaho State really matters.
Hey, by the way, don't you need Virginia to beat Notre Dame? Don't you need Virginia to win that game? Because trust me, I'm a Notre Dame fan, lifelong, suffering Notre Dame fan. That's a mediocre football team in South Bend.
Mm-hmm.
You need Virginia to handle Notre Dame because that helps BYU's resume, right? Don't you notice that, hey, Utah's running up the ranking here like they're going to win the South. They're probably going to the Rose Bowl. Would be nice if they would beat Oregon. If you're a BYU fan, you're a Utah fan.
Yes.
Because you need them to win games. You need Arizona State to stop screwing around and getting blown out at home. You need ASU to win games. See where we're going? Like, it's resume building. Yeah, absolutely. Style points matter. I'm honestly surprised that you guys are getting so much hate over this, Tanner says. Me too.
Yeah, it is surprising. Absolutely surprising.
Jeremy says, I just think 2 more TDs against Idaho Southern Tech Sycamore matters whether they're going to get into a New Year's Six. It's not just that game. When you lose to Boise State and then you lose to Baylor, you have to take every opportunity that's available to you.
You got to prove yourself.
And that isn't coming out in the third quarter and laying an egg against Idaho State by playing, but Jackson McChesney and cool. That's what spring ball's for, man. You want to see your depth? That's what spring ball's for. That's what the off season's for. Hey, Jaron Hall's working with John Beck. All right, in the off season. That's what the off season's for. That's not what November football is for. It's not. Eric C. says, teams going to a New Year's Six Bowl are probably already decided. No, those who decided already know who they want in. I think largely, yeah. Those 12 teams are probably decided. But think about it. Look at how many losses are going to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Just look at Georgia and Alabama. Georgia and Alabama are headed for a face smashing in the SEC championship game.
Facts.
I mean, that's going to happen. Those two are going to play.
Yeah.
One of them is going to lose. And if you're an Alabama fan, it better not be you, because then you're an 8-2, and now all of a sudden you're going to have to get lucky, right? But if you're Oklahoma, look at Oregon. Who thinks if Oregon loses the Pac-12 championship game that they're going to the college football playoff?
Yeah, they're not.
They're not. They're
Look
going
at
to
2019.
They're going to the Rose Bowl, right? Like I mean, I'm telling you, this is really a big moment in time for BYU. Look at Ohio State at 8-1. Look at Notre Dame at 8-1. There's a chance if Notre Dame loses again that they're not one of the top 15 teams in the country, because people are already doubting them. Already doubting them. Michigan State lost. Michigan State is all the way down to 8. What happens if Michigan State loses again? They're 8th, right? Michigan State has Maryland, Ohio State, and then Penn State. Pretty good chance Michigan State's losing again, right? Hey, by the way, does Michigan have any, I don't know, does Michigan have a big game left on their schedule? Yeah, Ohio State to end the year.
Just that little thing.
What if Michigan loses again? You think they're one of the top 12 teams? They're currently 9th, right? Oh, by the way, they also have Penn State this week. You think that's a walk in the park? Because it's not. The top 12 is going to change significantly. So I would agree probably the top 6, 8 teams, there's a pretty good chance we know who those teams are. I don't think we have a full understanding of who of who all 12 of the New Year's 6 Bowl teams are.
Yeah, and when I hear you talking about these teams, the Michigans, the Ohio States, the Penn States, the Michigan States, when we talk about all these teams losing, all that is opportunity for BYU, because some of these teams are going to lose. Things are going to shift around. And if you can just handle your business and you can stop playing, your 15th string running back and start putting up 65, 70 against these crap teams, you're going to crack at least the top 12. But I think the top 10.
I would think that BYU will be 12th or 13th in the college football playoff ranking tonight. They'll move up. I look at the teams around them. Like it is, to me, I don't see that. Baylor's problem is going down. They lost to TCU, and by the way, who's Baylor got now? Baylor's got Oklahoma. Right? So you don't have to worry about Baylor creeping. Like there was a question about teams creeping up from behind. There's not a team. If BYU handles their business, BYU is going to be a top 10 team when the season's over.
And by the way, Tom Homo should get a ton of credit here.
He should.
This is a beautiful execution of scheduling. Two weaker teams and end the season with a nameplate team, no matter what you think of USC.
Don't forget Oklahoma State end the season.
Yeah. Yes.
So Oklahoma State's got a real good chance to lose.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that's kind of the point
What
we're
are
trying
we
to
even
drive home
talking
here.
about?
Like a lot of these teams are going to lose. There's going to be opportunity for BYU to be able to say, "Hey, man, six P5 wins. We handled our business against 2 crap teams. Like, yes, we've got two. You've got really 1 bad loss, and in my opinion, you should have won the Baylor game. But that's kind of a harsher take." So really, generally speaking, 6 P5 wins, 1 bad loss, and then another loss that just kind of happened. So you have a good resume.
Yeah.
You have a strong enough case to be made here to get to a New Year's 6 Bowl. But I have to agree with what you said earlier in the show about that person who was tweeting, which is, we're just waiting for next year. Well, I don't know what BYU train you're on, but there is so much left here. There is so much left here for this program, especially coming off the heels of the Zach Wilson era at BYU. You had such a great time when he was here, and now you've just rinsed and repeated again with this current team.
Well, Spencer Evans, why is putting up 59 points not enough? Oklahoma is the only top 10 team to put up more than 60 in any game. 59 on an FCS team is not letting your foot off the gas. Yes, it is. Here's how you let your foot off the gas. And by the way, who would be the only top 10 team to score 60 points in a game twice?
Oh.
You just keep putting more feathers in your cap, man.
Yeah.
And when you look at how BYU played that game, they didn't play their starters in the second half. The third quarter was an absolute exercise in futility offensively.
Yeah.
Could not convert on third down, could not run the ball.
You weren't moving the ball.
And by the way, you gave up points. Like, which I guess doesn't really matter because I don't think anybody's going to look at it that deep, to see 60 points 3 straight weeks on your schedule when somebody's trying to make an argument for or against you. So I'm telling you, and I know I got laughed off of Twitter yesterday for saying this. 60 points is far more impressive than 59 on paper. It's 1 point, right? It's 1 point. 60 points is far better than 59.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is the game of soccer. 1 goal is not a real lead.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm telling you, when you're trying to be impressive and you're trying to build a case to put yourself in $1 million game that probably means $5 to $10 million to you, what does a New Year's Six Bowl mean to Built Bar?
Yeah, a lot.
Think about that. Think about it that way. What does a New Year's Six Bowl mean to New Skin? What does a New Year's Six Bowl mean to Vivint? What is, like, think about it that way. Think about recruiting. Like, I don't understand how we, like.
Yeah, the ability to say, hey, we'll get you to a New Year's Six Bowl. You'll be on national TV even more than you already would be.
You know, we're going to be in the Big 12 here possibly as soon as 2022. And that's the best basketball conference in the country. Yeah, hey, by the way, why don't we have Larry H. Miller be the official car sponsor? Like, think about it, man. Think about it. It's resume building. Anyway, Jeremy Bolton says, I agree with Spencer. I don't think putting 59 points is letting your foot off the gas.
Well, then I don't think you have a true understanding or appreciation for what
guys,
it takes.
You really think that they didn't take their foot off the gas in that Idaho State game? You really, I mean, we can't be the only ones who watched that game. They were dominating in the first half.
Anything they wanted.
What did you do in the third quarter? What did you do in the fourth quarter? You absolutely took your foot off the gas. Are you kidding me?
It's not in dispute, dude.
How are we even having this conversation?
Yeah.
My God. Ramiro said Idaho State coach praised Kalani for not putting 70 on them. Nice guy. That was
neat.
That's not great. I don't understand this. Do you want to be nice or do you want to play in the biggest games in the college football season?
They want to be nice and play in the biggest games. That's what they want.
I don't think it works that way all the time.
It doesn't.
Tanner says Utah is BYU's best friend right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Agree
completely.
Yeah,
You need Utah to go and beat Oregon.
Angry Astley, I can't see your comment. YouTube filtered it. Tanner, okay, man. I don't know why all these comments are being filtered. By the way, we don't. So it's
Sorry, folks. That's what it is.
Yeah, we don't do that. Brian Carter says, all right, point taken. Looking forward. Cover plus against Georgia Southern and beat SC and SoCal. And I don't think there's too much of a loss at 59. At that point, College Football Playoff Committee will know about backups. Yeah, yeah, it is what it is. I think the philosophical discussion on this is what I think is so fascinating. It is. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward. The thing that's so striking to me is that BYU fans, I feel like you've taken your foot off the gas.
You've been begging and pleading and complaining and ripping the program for probably, a decade? Saying that you don't have the opportunity. You're struggling to get to bowl games. You're not where you want to be. And for me, I agree with you that the conversation really is philosophical. Like, you guys, you can't be nice and win games.
Eric C. says San Diego State could use Baylor Romney. Yeah, is Baylor Romney going to stay? I don't know. The quarterback situation at BYU is interesting. If you're the backup that Jaron Hall's going to get hurt. Water, sweat, Jaron Hall gets hurt. It happens all the time. It'll be interesting to see what the quarterback room looks like next season. I think that's an interesting conversation. BYU will destroy Georgia Southern and they'll beat SC by 40. Then you're probably a New Year's Six Bowl team.
I would love to see that.
By the way, has anybody noticed that you have the potential to have BYU and Utah both playing on New Year's Day?
It'd be fire.
That'd be pretty amazing. It is. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
All right, make sure you hit subscribe. By the way, if you're here right now, give us a like. We appreciate you watching and, taking part in the show. We love all the comments. We love you guys on Twitter. So give us a like, then give us a subscribe, because we're giving away this Xbox Series S when we get to 3,000 subscribers. Admittedly, we have been methodically plodding along subscriber count-wise. I don't even know what we're at right now. We're at 25. Okay, well, we're at 2588. So we've picked up quite a few here over the last few days. But we need to get rolling towards 3,000. We need to,
Hey man, we're just here.
I'm just tired of dusting the Xbox box.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we shouldn't take our foot off the gas. Maybe we need a better giveaway.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Angry Astley says Utah will lose to Oregon. Could be. Absolutely could be. Brandon Whitesides, good morning to you. Always good to see you, sir. Says college football is the lamest sport. No playoffs. So one team have to win by 400 instead of just win. You have to impress a committee of Power 5 conferences that want to consolidate power anyway. True.
I agree.
Absolutely
100%.
true.
100%.
Absolutely true.
It is trash.
All right, let's talk Utah Jazz basketball here on the glamorous, amazing Win by 50 Monty show.
Yes.
Let's talk about trades and upgrading this roster, because I think one of the more interesting things about the Utah Jazz right now is their depth, or what is perceived to have been depth that's not really depth right now. How surprised are you, and I think this is where I want to start. How surprised are you with the situation that Jared Butler currently finds himself in?
Yeah, I'm really surprised by it. I think that he did well in the preseason. He showed that he was definitely serviceable, definitely could give you quality minutes. I think we all knew that he was going to struggle offensively, but I think we knew that would be worth it because of his defensive prowess. So you're kind of in a situation with Jared Butler where he needs minutes, he needs the time. But the fact is, and we talked about this, and everybody kind of was in agreement about it, that Quinn doesn't play young guys. Quinn Snyder does not play young guys.
Yeah.
And I think it's a tough situation because you have this dynamic right now where Jared Butler really needs the minutes, and they're really going to need Jared Butler towards the end of the season when everybody's tired and not playing their best basketball because they are just so damn tired because this season is forever long. And the problem is that with you not playing him, he's not going to be in a position to be successful, or at least successful to the level you want him to be. And so then you start talking about, all right, well, if you're not going to play Jared Butler and the trade deadline is approaching, it's coming, what are you going to do with this roster? And this is kind of the age-old discussion that we find ourselves in on this show. And I think a lot of Jazz fans find themselves thinking about this with the team, kind of in the background when you're watching the game. Hey, Joe Ingles just checked in. How's he looking tonight? Is he 5 of 5 or is he 1 of 5? Because it seems right now for Joe Ingles and a couple guys that they're going to play 3 really good games. Look at Royce O'Neal. 2 really good games. 5 of 5, and then I think it was 4 of 4, whatever it was. And everyone's like, oh, my God, this is Royce O'Neal. This is the guy we know and love. But then next week, he's going to be 0 for like 5 games in a row. And that's the trouble with this roster. You have inconsistencies with Quinn and who he wants to play and not play. And then with the guys he's playing constantly, you have big-time inconsistencies. So I do think you have to make a move, no doubt.
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting names on the trade market is Josh Hart. Now, the issue is he's not available till March 3rd. So in all likelihood, that trade doesn't happen. But the idea that the Jazz are being linked to a guy like Josh Hart tells you a lot about, where they are as an organization and as a roster. I think they realize that they don't have a true backup point guard. And the question now kind of evolves into, okay, well, what are you willing to give up to get something? Mm-hmm. Because if you add a guy like Josh Hart, who is probably in your truest sense, a guy that can get you 3 and plays phenomenal defense, that's what this team is lacking. Because you don't need a volume scorer. The thing that I think probably worries you a little bit, depending on who you give up, you don't want to bring a guy in here that's a volume scorer, because you can't bring a new guy in and take away everything that you've built. And I think that's one of the bigger concerns that you have if you're a Jazz fan when you go and make a trade. If you're going to do that, without question, you have to move on from Bojan Bogdanovic, which, by the way, I'd be fine with that, depending on who you get in return. But I think small tweaks are better for this Jazz team. So a small tweak, getting a guy like a Josh Hart, who is, I think, going to be moved by New Orleans. I have almost no doubt about that. I think you look at other backup, guys that can play the 2-3. A lot of people are pointing at Marcus Smart having a fallout with the Celtics and his teammates. Well, he also makes $20-something million a year, so I think that's awfully difficult to digest. But you'd love to unplug Royce O'Neal and Bojan Bogdanovic for a Marcus Smart. I just don't think that's available to you. One, there are trade restrictions there, and two, the guy just makes an enormous amount of money. So I think you're more likely to wind up making a deal for a Jay Crowder type who can give you a 3, but brings you that mean physical presence that you need. And I keep going back to that name because his skill set, to me, is exactly what this roster's missing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, one thing I think that it's important to understand about where this Jazz team is at is you had said that, you think small tweaks are what this team needs. And I agree with you. The problem that I think the Jazz face is that because of the cap situation and how they kind of have to work within their financial restrictions, they're not able to just say, well, let's move Royce for a guy, because just moving Royce is not valuable enough and the money doesn't necessarily work. So you end up having to do these package deals where you're like, all right, Royce and Joe for X. And the question's going to be, because there is going to be a trade that happens. I have no doubt about that.
Yes.
The only question is going to be what they're able to get back for what they give up. I mean, that's literally it. And I think that the problem is the Jazz are in one of the toughest spots you can be in sports, which is you're a dominant regular season team. You're expected to be a top 5 Western Conference team. By some people's standards, a top 3 Western Conference team. And somehow, some way, with the way this roster has been built, you're not a championship caliber team yet. You're still missing a piece here, a piece there. So you wind up torturing your fans. And as an organization, you're like, damn, dude, like, what do we got to do?
Well,
it's a tough spot.
And this is the Buddy Hield conversation. A lot of people love Buddy Hield.
Mm-hmm.
He cannot defend. The guy that you are no better off with Buddy Hield than you are with a Bojan Bogdanovic, or he just is not a good. He is a minus defender everywhere but the 3-point line. And granted, he is a good defender of the 3-point line, but what do the Jazz have now? A bunch of guys who can defend the 3-point line but can't keep anybody from going to the basket.
The only thing I would say on Buddy Hield, I agree with you. The only thing I would say would be an upgrade is just the athleticism piece, because he is definitely more athletic than a Bojan would be.
And look, I understand that he shoots the 3 at an exceptional level.
Yeah.
But he's not a guy that gets to the free throw line. Like, I just am not a Buddy Hield in Utah guy.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm the Lakers, if I am, hell, I would even say the Phoenix Suns. Like, if you're a team that needs another 3-point shooter, go get Buddy Hield. There's no question he's a good fit. Buddy Hield's not a fit in Utah. And I bring up his name, and I bring up a guy like a Marcus Smart because I think finding a guy to fit into this system right now that can help you get to the Western Conference Finals and beyond is going to be very difficult to do.
Yes.
Because you are cash strapped, number one. You don't have a whole lot of assets to give away in return. That's why a guy like a Joe Ingles, who is well respected around this league, that people really look up to, a guy like Joe Ingles has more value than what he can do at the 3-point stripe, right? He's asked to do far more than he's capable of here in Utah. In 9 out of 10 nights, he's able to do that.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at where the Jazz are, like tonight is a really interesting game. I mean, Atlanta got embarrassed last night. Atlanta got embarrassed. They gave up 50 to Steph. Like,
yeah,
they're on a back-to-back. How much fight is going to be in the Atlanta Dog tonight? I'm going to say not a whole lot of fight. This is a game I feel like the Jazz coming off a road trip. You're rested. This is a game you'd love to see the Jazz win by double digits.
40% from 3.
You'd love to see it
for Rudy. That's what you need.
You'd love to see it. But my point is, when you're talking about trading guys, it's not as simple as saying, well, we're going to trade Joe Ingles or we're going to trade, Royce O'Neal or Bogey. Or I think you have to look at the bigger picture and what those particular players mean to this club right now. And I think when you look at Joe Ingles in particular, his leadership and the momentum that he brings to a practice or a shoot around, those are things that are tangible, that you can feel, that are not easily replaced, right? So if you want, and again, I say you trade Joe Ingles just for the basketball part of it. But if you want to keep Jingles on this roster, I totally understand that from a humanity standpoint, from a chemistry standpoint, from a 40+% 3-point shooting standpoint. Absolutely. He can no longer be a point guard for you.
Yeah.
Joe Ingles is one thing. He is a spot up, corner, elbow, 3-point shooter. That's it. When you're asking him to back up Mike Conley, when you're asking him to be a facilitator, he cannot do that anymore. He does not have the energy and the longevity that you need to do that at a high level in the NBA. Everything else suffers after that, right? And he is an okay defender. Joe Ingles is no longer a plus defender. He's just not. And so I don't love the idea of trading him. I have no problem trading Bojan Bogdanovic. I believe you must upgrade Royce O'Neal. I just don't think when you have a guy like Rudy Gobert, who is so obviously a hole in your game, he is so good defensively, and he is so limited offensively. For him to have big nights, you got to shoot poorly. 9 out of 10 nights, when Rudy has a big night, the Jazz don't shoot well.
Yeah.
And when they don't shoot well, they don't win. And when Rudy has big games, generally, depending on the opponent, if Rudy's putting up 15 and 15 against the best teams in the NBA, the Jazz are going to lose.
Yeah.
Jazz are going to lose. And when they have an athletic opponent that's getting in the paint, you'll notice guys are no longer scared of attacking Rudy Gobert. They're not, because they know that they're going to get calls. They know that when Rudy, gets himself into 2-3 fouls, he starts barking at the official, those are the things that worry you.
Yeah.
Right. And when we talk about championship players, Royce O'Neal is not a championship player. And everybody's talking about, and I get it, Bowler's paid to say great things about everybody. But Bowler and David Locke talking about how much just Royce O'Neal's game has evolved. And that's great. I need him to play defense. I don't need Royce O'Neal to ever make another 3-point shot. I need him to be a plus defender. And he's not.
You need him to have that effect on the floor that Pat Bev had with the Clippers and with all the teams he's played with.
That's just not who he is.
And he's not that guy.
And it's cool that he's scoring 15 points and 6 steals. And if you could count on that game in and game out, I guess that'd be a thing. He's here to play defense. He's a starter. He needs to do his job. And on too often, he doesn't. And if I look at places on this Jazz team where you can upgrade, I'm telling you right now, Royce O'Neal and Bojan Bogdanovic, and to a lesser extent, Joe Ingles. But those are the 3 guys that have value on this roster. Those are the 3 guys that you can move. And I'll just go back to what I was saying. I am not thrilled about trading Joe Ingles, but it's the right thing to do if you want to win a championship.
Yeah, which they do.
Tough to argue that. It is really tough to argue that. Joshua Blaylock-Dixon, good morning to you. I wish we could get a Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes is well paid, and he is going to be in high demand.
Yeah, the money thing is just tough, dude.
The money thing is tough right now, but you're also competing against a lot of other teams who have a lot of other bodies and a lot more draft capital than you do to go and make trades.
Yeah.
So ask yourself, what do the Jazz have that another Eastern, because my guess is Harrison Barnes is going to wind up at the top of the Eastern Conference, because there's not a team at the top of that conference that doesn't need him. I mean, I look at Myar and the Chicago Bulls. Anybody notice what they did last night? They took out the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets need more athleticism defensively because they're a terrible defensive team. Harrison brings you a lot of things. He can shoot the 3, he can get to the rack, but he is an undervalued defender. And what he brings athletically to the floor makes a team better. It makes a team better. You can't compete with a Brooklyn on Tampa because they've got guys to give to you. What do the Jazz have that Brooklyn? I mean, if we're talking body for body, the Brooklyn Nets can trade guys to add a Harrison Barnes. If they're in a similar situation, I mean, they're a perpetual luxury taxpayer, but they just have more to give up, right? I look at the Chicago Bulls. I look at the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, Ben Simmons is a trade chip, right? I don't know that Sacramento would be involved in that or that he would want to go to Sacramento. I look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're talking about trading their two of their best players, Karl Anthony Towns is not going to be a T-Wolf at the end of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right?
Finally.
I mean, there's not a team on the West Coast that wouldn't love to have Karl Anthony Towns.
And I think really what we're saying here with all these examples, and they're great examples, but what we're really saying is that there's opportunity here. And the Jazz front office just has to figure out how they can make something happen, with the financial situation that they're in and with the guys that they have to present in a trade. And I think that, the real, I'd be prioritizing wing defense. That would be my number one starting point. If the guy can score, great. We don't need him to score. We need him to stop Paul George on the wing. That's what we need.
You need the Iman Shumpert type player.
Yeah, I thought that was you brought that up yesterday.
He's the perfect example.
Yeah, I thought that was a great example, man.
Iman Shumpert was so important to the Cavs.
You're talking about, just to put into perspective what Iman Shumpert was, just so people remember, because I don't know that the young Jazz fan even knows who Iman Shumpert was because he hasn't played in a little bit.
Well, he's done. He retired. He's on Dancing with the whatever.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't played in many years now. But Iman Shumpert was a guy who has stories about matching up with Kobe, dude. He was that guy for the teams that he played on. And if Kobe was alive and playing today, who would be guarding him on this Jazz team? Who guards Paul George? Who guards Kevin Durant? Who is your stopper on this team? You don't have one. Everyone just goes right to Rudy, and that's not good enough if you want to win a championship. You got to have layers to the defense. It can't just be, oh, well, Rudy's back there.
Yeah.
Because what have we seen? Rudy won't be able to get back against the good teams who know how to scheme him out of the paint.
Yeah, I mean, you need – the other guy we brought up was a Cantavius Caldwell-Pope. You need a guy who's willing to do his job.
Avery Bradley.
Avery Bradley's an interesting guy. I don't know that he's the defender he used to be, but, man, he does a job. And he's a guy that when he's on your team, you notice the things that he does, but just looking up and down the rankings, I mean, the best available defender is Ben Simmons, but who wants Ben Simmons on the Utah Jazz?
What about Thibault? Thibault's an elite defender, but I don't know that you can go and get him.
How are you going to get him on the Philly?
That's my point. I don't know how you're going to get him.
And this, again, this is the conundrum of the Dennis Lindsey era.
Mm-hmm.
You have nothing. You had all those draft assets and all that talent, and now you have nothing. You're in recovery mode.
And you're still good.
Yeah. But by the way, I go back to the Golden State Warriors. They're 9-1.
Yeah.
Do you understand how good the Warriors are?
Without Klay Thompson, they're 9-1.
Steph
Curry's putting up 50.
And that's why I brought them up, because you look at Klay Thompson, if he comes back in December and is just 3/4 of the defender he was,
they're going to be a problem.
They're much better already without him even scoring. And he's going to shoot the lights out. The West is scary because the Lakers, look at the Clippers. The Clippers are without Kawhi Leonard, and they're trash, but you can see them getting better, right? And this is the only thing that worries me and gives me a little pause about the Utah Jazz. They're not getting better. They are who they've been, right? I mean, this team...
And that's not a critique. I think that's just reality.
That's reality. And I don't know what Rudy Gay brings to the yard. We'll see. But this team is who they've always been. They don't defend well. They have a reputation as a great defensive team. They don't defend well, in my opinion. And they are when the three ball's going in, this team's really difficult to beat.
Live and die.
And when it's not, they're not very difficult to beat. And they will lose to the Timberwolves. They will lose to teams like the Magic. They will lose.
The Bulls.
Well,
and now you got to start talking about the Bulls not being a fluke.
I'm telling you right now, that team when and everybody I got it the other day was mocking me about it. When that team's out on the run, find me a better fast break and mid-range team than the Chicago Bulls right now.
Yeah, don't know.
Because the way that Lonzo Ball is distributing, Zach LaVine looks like pre-ACL Zach LaVine flying to the rack. And what you're getting out of DeMar DeRozan,
I don't know. I don't know that he can do it all year, but we'll see.
We'll see, man. The Jazz are absolutely who they've been for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Every other team around them is different. Some are better, some are not. Every other team is different. And it'll be interesting to see what they do. Brandon White says Rudy for Brown. Whiteside is ready to be a starter.
You're talking about Jaylen Brown?
I'm not at all interested in Jaylen Brown. And this was a conversation yesterday on Twitter. Jaylen Brown, what is Jaylen Brown? Jaylen Brown's already injured is what Jaylen Brown is.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown is always injured. That's what Jaylen Brown is. So what do you, by the way, you think Boston's going to take Rudy Gobert's $40 million contract for Jaylen Brown? I don't see that happening. Like I don't see any way. I just don't see any way that explain to me how that makes sense at all on any level. Because I don't say Jaylen Brown is a good player when he plays. He's a guy that you just need to understand. You're not getting 82 out of him. You're not. He's not a guy that, he'll give you 27, 28 points a game, right? I mean, he'll give you.
He's the dynamic wing player this team needs. The problem is he's hurt too much, and the money can't.
You can't trust him.
The money would be tough.
Here are his how many years he is in his 7th year in the league now? 7th year in the league.
Okay.
6th year in the league, excuse me. How many times has he played 82 games?
I'm going to say none.
Never. 58, 57, 74, 70, 78. The
So
guy
he's
doesn't
trending up, but he's still injury prone.
his no. His rookie year he played 78, 70, 74, 57,
Oh, okay,
58.
he's trending down.
He's trending down.
Okay.
Now he's hurt again. He's not a guy that plays. He's heading for half a season at this point.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is his numbers are going up. His health is going down. I'm not trading for Jaylen Brown. If I'm trading for somebody on that team, it's the other guy. But I am not trading for Jaylen Brown.
But are we, just out of curiosity, just throwing this out there, because this is the first time I'm really hearing about this. So as Jazz fans, is there now a willingness to trade Rudy Gobert? Is that what we're saying?
I don't buy that for a second.
I'm just asking.
I don't think that's true. Jordan Crabtree says, "Isn't Western Conference it's Western Conference or a rebuild in my opinion."
Yeah, Western Conference Finals a rebuild.
This team is desperate for a rebuild.
Yeah.
I mean, you need a retool. There is no doubt about it. That's why the Joe Ingles extension. Joe's eligible for an extension. So
yeah, you can't give him that extension, dude.
you can't do it.
Can't do
You
that.
cannot do it. As much as you love the guy, Ryan Smith tweeting Joe Ingles isn't going anywhere.
You're signing up for, what, 3 more years of this?
Joshua Blaylock Dixon, we need a better Royce O'Neal. Yes, you do. James Knight, a lot of short memory Jingles haters out there. He has covered 1 through 4 for 2 seasons if he plays 18 minutes in a catch and shoot role, he wouldn't be mentioned as trade bait. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you've done for me in the past.
Yeah.
The NBA is a right now business. And right now, Joe Ingles has very little upside, in my opinion. He's not ever going to be better than he is today. Right? I mean, can we all agree on that?
Would it upset you or frustrate you if you kept Joe Ingles too long and then you couldn't move him? You had to let him go as a free agent.
Well, that's coming this summer.
Yeah.
I mean, he is a catch and shoot player, period.
Yeah.
That's who he is today now. Why is that a problem? Why is that offensive, James? Like, I don't understand why that's so upsetting to you. Eric C. says, Grant on the Pistons, send Butler, Picks, and Bogey.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy Grant would be.
How much is Jeremy Grant making?
I know he's making money, but I mean, Jeremy Grant is the kind of, yeah, definitely. Buddy can get a bucket and he can play good defense.
He's a very good defender.
Yeah,
he is. That's the best part of his game.
With his size, I mean, you're talking about a guy who definitely, gave a guy like Kevin Durant some problems.
He's making $21 million a year.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
You
like,
can afford that.
You can make that happen. You can, but you're going to have the willingness to get rid of, Royce, Bogey, I'm assuming Jingles.
Is there anybody that's unwilling?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I know the Australians on the show don't want Jingles to go anywhere, and I respect that. But for those of you who are taking a real unbiased look at this thing, I think you're saying, okay, yeah, if we can get Jeremy Grant, yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and let go of a Joe, a Royce, or a Bogey.
Yeah, and what you really need is probably if you could go straight up Boyan for Jeremy Grant. But why would
There's
Detroit
no way.
do that?
You'd have to have.
Why would Detroit
Ideally,
do
you
that?
would offer a pick with him or something, or like.
I don't think you have a pick to
I don't.
offer.
No, that's my point. I don't think so. But I'm saying, ideally, in a perfect world, that's what you would do. But because you don't have that, you got to offer another player.
I mean, you're probably going to have to offer, a Trent Forrest in that kind of deal. You're probably going to have to offer.
Which then begs the question: okay, if we're leveraging our young talent because we don't have picks, man, you better win now.
Yeah, I just don't feel like there is a. I don't know that there's a trade Detroit could make with Utah. That'd probably have to be a 3-teamer so that Detroit got value back in return. But I just don't see that the Jazz have the assets to make that. I mean, he would be a great fit on this roster. I mean,
yeah,
he really would. Eric C. says Jingles can fetch us a good catch, James. Yeah, he can be a topper to a trade. There's no doubt about it.
No doubt.
There is no doubt about it. I think it is. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. Tanner says, let's hope Bowler Jack doesn't find your show. His delusional mind is so sure the Jazz are going to win the finals this year. Well, that's Bowler Jack's job, though.
What do you expect?
I mean,
come on.
Yeah. I wonder if we can go on a 17-game win streak again like last year. I mean, it would be awesome to run through it, but they just haven't. The Jazz haven't played their best basketball. That's the tough part.
Yeah.
Let me run through some of these comments before we start complaining about Jim Douche and other things. Brylark says, morning, boys. Where have you been?
Yeah, where you been, bro?
Good to see you, Brylark. I've said since the beginning of last year that we need to upgrade at Royce. He needs to be traded. Hitman and Joe have value. Jazz success will be determined at the trade deadline. Absolutely.
Totally agree, dude.
Eric DeVera, good morning to you. Joe is a better Niang and is a glue guy for the Jazz. We need a backup point guard. Rudy needs to shoot one mid-range a game. And we've talked about this a lot too. I just want to see Rudy dribble to the basket. He's not going to be a consistent jump shooter at this point, I wouldn't think. If he could put the ball on the floor, if he could power bounce and get up and dunk a basketball, but when he brings the ball down, his whole body comes down. So it really makes it impossible for him to finish. He doesn't have the technique or the footwork to dribble and finish at the rim.
Shout to Mobamba.
Yeah, I mean that's stop. That's the issue with Rudy. I'd love to see the ability to dribble before shoot, but yeah, jump shot would be fine. Jeremy Bolton says Jazz should get Caruso. They'd be an instant 5-time repeat champion.
Yeah, well, you should have, but you didn't, and now he's a Chicago Bull, and now they're going to go to the playoffs.
By the way, I'm just saying.
But we're idiots for saying Caruso is good.
And I don't know the number off the top of my head. But Alex Caruso, and this is the best part about, 9 out of 10 guys don't watch Chicago Bulls basketball.
Yeah, and that's fine.
But because I'm a loser, and I grew up in Chicago, which is really why I'm a Bulls fan.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of their games.
Right. Alex
Caruso is playing 20 minutes a night for them. He is rebounding, diming out, stealing, playing defense. Anybody that doesn't think you could use 8 points and stellar, tenacious defense off your bench is crazy.
Yeah.
The guy gives you 8 points, 3 boards a game.
See, but I think Jared Butler could do that. You just need to give him minutes. You got to water the plant, man.
Not going to happen.
But agreed. Quinn is not going to do that, and I love Quinn, man. I love the way he goes about running this team and the way they play the game and everything. But that would be a criticism I have of Quinn, if I were to have one, is that you're not giving the important young guy time. You're not giving him time of day.
The Bulls beat the Nets 118-95 last night.
The rack attack!
And shot 29% from three. Do you want to know why the Bulls are not a real Eastern Conference contender? Because they regularly shoot 29% from three.
Yeah.
I love Zach LaVine. Homie 0 for 4 from three last night. God bless him for getting in the line. And they rebound like nobody's business. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Tony Bradley gave him 4 points and 8 boards off the bench in 15 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, The Bulls,
Anyway,
the Bulls
all right.
are the Bulls are fun again. Eric C says, "Will anyone be surprised if we stand pat again this year and make no moves?" I'd be stunned.
I actually would be, yeah, because I
Stunned.
think Justin Zanuck knows that they have to do something, and I think as a Jazz fan, I'm glad you said that. I think as a Jazz fan, you can be comfortable with the fact that they are going to make moves. You can be confident in that,
Yes.
based on what they did in the offseason. The offseason told you exactly the direction this team is going, and I think it would be foolish to think that this front office isn't going to continue to be aggressive, because I think they will be.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see. Like, what do you do with Elijah Hughes? Like, he's another guy. Elijah Hughes, Doak. I mean, Doak Azubuike's done. Jared Butler. Like, are you willing to trade Trent Forrest? I think Trent Forrest is going to be a 20-minute-a-night role guy in this league for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Until he gets a three-point shot, he'll be a 20-minute-a-night role guy. What you don't understand is the guy can attack the basket, breaks the paint, he does a lot of things you like.
Yeah.
But does he have a place on the Utah Jazz? Like, Elijah Hughes doesn't seem to have a place on this team. Not
yet.
that he's going to play.
Season. Yeah, not yet.
Pascal's addition to the Jazz is actually good. He brings toughness, and his contribution is underrated. Maybe
Agreed.
it's just me, but I prefer him over Royce O'Neal. I love what Eric Pascal's brought.
The problem is that he's not quick enough to handle the dynamic wing player. He's quick enough to handle a slower 3 and obviously a 4. That's the problem.
Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. James Knight.
Uh-oh.
James is still talking about his boy.
Uh-oh.
James Knight says, my point is, Joe is the Jazz. My point with Joe is, the Jazz have done him no favors managing him. Okay, but you're not going to load manage Joe Ingles.
You can't.
Because you're load managing Mike Conley. This is what you paid for in Mike Conley. He's not playing back-to-backs. That's what you paid for. You knew that. Water's wet. Mike Conley's hurt in the playoffs. So what are you going to do to change that? You're not going to play him as much. Who's going to pay the price for that? Joe Ingles.
I really don't care if you think it's sus.
That's his job. His job is to do things that nobody else can do. That's Joe Ingles' role on this team. The Jazz have become a give it to Don and get out of the way team. It's a black hole. Yes, it is. It's Don. What do I always say? It's Don and everybody else. That's what games turn into for the Jazz. Mm-hmm. That's what it is. Kay Nurin says, yes, paying Rudy $40 was a bad idea. Need to make a trade. Have to make a trade. I just don't know that you're certainly not trading Rudy. Not now. Brandon Whitesides heard years back Celtics were interested in Rudy. Brown is dynamic and young. He's on Don's timeline.
Okay,
he might be hurt often.
Yeah,
but his role would be different, allowing him to be healthier.
I do agree that he's on Don's timeline. That's a fair point. But I also think the injury concern. I've never been someone who buys into the guy's getting hurt because he's doing too much. I mean, is he not? He's a partner in crime already with Jason Tatum.
And by the way, your entire defensive existence is Rudy Gobert. I mean, the entirety of it. Because you're not with Rudy Gobert, you're an average defensive team. You defend the 3-line pretty well, the arc, but other than that,
yeah.
I mean, how much do you really defend?
Yeah, not well.
Right?
Not well, no.
So, yeah, I just don't think you're at this point where you can trade Rudy Gobert. Yeah. I don't. Brandon says, what do you think of the Jokic versus Morris thing? I think Markieff Morris is getting a free pass, and I think Nikola Jokic is not very bright. I mean, you're the MVP of the NBA. You can't be doing what he did.
Although, what I'll say about it is I love the toughness. I love the grit. I love the I'm not going to take trash from you type mentality. And I think the Jazz could learn a few things from that.
I think when you look at Nikola Jokic, he's soft. And he's trying to prove he's not soft.
By the way, they won the game.
They did.
Just want to point that out.
Yeah, and I think that this is who the Morris brothers are. Threatening Nikola Jokic on Twitter after the game was not Marcus Morris's best option. He took it anyway. And I think, by the way, Nikola Jokic, the reason you're foolish is you didn't get called for a foul you should have been called for. Then when Markieff Morris elbowed you and body blocked you in the ribs, that would have been a flagrant. But yet you It was the whole thing was stupid.
It was stupid, but at the end of the day, we like the Jazz to me could learn something from that. This is one of the things we talk about with Rudy. I mean, we can sit here and say Jokic is soft, but Jokic also is the guy who's not going to take anything. He's not. Like, he's not going to let you, try to intimidate him or any of that nonsense. And so I think that, it is unfortunate that it was him who went through that. But again, if I had to choose between having that mentality and not having that mentality, I'm going to take that mentality every single time, especially early in the season, because we've seen enough of Jokic to know he's not going to get in that kind of trouble where he's getting ejected in the postseason. So
dumb. By the way, anybody see the Lakers last night?
No,
that
I don't
team
think
is
anybody
so close to hanging on
did.
and getting over the hump. I mean, they beat the Lakers. There's a ticking noise in the background that's making me
Yeah,
crazy.
are you okay?
Yeah. The Lakers beat the Hornets last night, 126-123. How about G-Time?
Mm-hmm.
That's Gordon Hayward.
Right, yeah.
G-Time.
Mm-hmm.
Snap Twig got 21 points. Okay,
Snap Twig?
My bad. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 3 dimes. How about LaMelo Ball last night? 42 minutes.
Dude.
25 points. 11 assists, 15 rebounds for a triple-double.
I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Man. Oh, he sucks. He'll never be anything.
All right, we're running out of time here, man.
Terry Rozier, 29. But real quick, shut your face. 32 out of Anthony Davis, 17 out of Russell Westbrook on 5 of 15 shooting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a terrible shooter, and I don't understand why.
He sucks so bad.
He's like, you got all upset with me 2 weeks ago when I said Westbrook. Like, he is Westbrook.
Right.
He can't shoot.
But
dude.
he also gives you 17 points, 14 assists, and 12 boards.
Great, but the efficiency has to go up.
Well, LeBron didn't play. I would remind you of that.
By the way,
And you got 29 more out of Carmelo.
they're lucky Carmelo's performing at that
7
level.
of 10 from 3. That's not luck. Carmelo is absolutely
No, it's luck for the Lakers. It is a. You can say it's not luck.
Carmelo is
Nobody saw Carmelo doing this.
dude. He's lost weight and he's changed his shot mechanics.
I agree. He's put in the work. I'm not trying to criticize Carmelo Anthony. What I'm saying is that nobody saw Carmelo Anthony performing at this level. Just like nobody saw the Broncos taking down the Cowboys. Nobody sees these things coming.
Screw the Cowboys. By the way, Austin Reeves continues to put out.
Yeah. Suck it, Kyle Kuzma.
All right, there you go. Let's rip HOAs now because I feel good about my life.
Yeah.
I just want to. Okay, so. I wanted a nicer back door.
Right.
No. The Daybreak HOA is such a pain in the ass that we decided our back door, when we bought our house, we knew the house needed some improvements. We didn't realize the back door was falling off the hinges. So we wanted to get a nicer back door, and we didn't wind up doing it because we didn't want it to go through architectural design approval from the Daybreak HOA.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the same old ass back door. And we had our contractor put it in. Fantastic.
Yeah.
It actually closes correctly. They cut a dog door into it for us. Like, Wayman Brothers Construction, in all seriousness, if you need a contractor, Wayman Brothers is fabulous.
Yeah, fire, dude.
So they put in our back door. They cut in the dog door, did a great job. We had these leveler blinds on the back door.
Yeah.
They took them off the back door and put them on the new back door.
Uh-huh.
They retrimmed it, plumbed the door. Like, it looks awesome. And it is, if you do not value your doors in your house, try installing new doors. And you quickly realize how important your new doors are to your life.
Yeah.
Because having a dog door on the back door, and I almost broke the cover taking it off this morning. I had no idea how to get it off, so I hit it with a hammer. And I actually cracked it, unfortunately. I didn't do that. But my wife just walked in, so she was going to lose her mind. But having a dog door makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
You don't have to get up to let them out.
It's amazing. But I would just like to say, the Daybreak HOA blows. Like, it is so frustrating that you can't get them to call you back. But if you are 1 minute late on your HOA dues, like they'll start sending you letters and we're going to take your house and your kids are ugly.
Are we clear on that?
Like they just,
Yeah.
Like they're like, hey, you're late on your HOA dues. Why don't you try losing some weight? Like, I'm like, what is that? God, they didn't say that, actually. I've never been late on my dues. We had an issue with our escrow closing, and somebody didn't pay somebody who didn't pay somebody. So the HOA started sending us letters. We called them. Did they ever call us back? No. We called them again and again and again, and finally Mrs. Monty got them on the phone.
So get your facts straight.
But, hey, we pay them, like, I'm talking about an ass load of money every month. I think we paid just short of $475 a month.
Fact?
Dude.
Do they trim the bushes in front of our house? Huh? Oh, we pay them just short of 400. Excuse me.
Dude, still, that's
that's
a lot.
way better.
For an HOA, that's a lot, though.
Okay, so we pay them $400.
Yeah, we'll call it 400.
Do they trim the bushes in front of our house?
No.
No. Not until we call them repeatedly. Hey, these bushes. Hey, by the way. Hey, man, the bush is out. Hey, yo.
You gonna trim them bushes?
And then we have to, Mrs. Monty goes out there and threatens people with physical harm if they don't.
Yeah, I know what time it is.
If they don't trim the bushes. And then they call their supervisor who calls the HOA, who then calls us. I just want my bushes trimmed, man. I'm paying you $400. Can you trim my bushes?
I want it.
No, they won't. Oh, you want to replace your back door? All right, talk to you in 3 months.
Where's the Italian?
It's amazing to me how bad HOAs are.
Yeah, they don't care. They want your money, and that's it. And they're not willing to help you on any level.
Yeah.
With nothing.
Yes, Jeremy Bolton. All HOAs are ass vacuums. Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Yes. Sprylark says all HOAs are the worst. They're pointless. I understand why you got to have an HOA. But if you're going to charge me $400 a month, trim my bushes, prick.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that difficult,
Yes.
man.
Yes. I agree. 100%, dude.
And then
100%.
And then there's Jim Douche.
Yeah.
So Jake and I work out every day at lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, Jim Douche got the best of Jake. Well, he benches more than you do.
I doubt it.
I doubt that.
I doubt that.
So we're going to stretch because snowboarding and then 2 hours of basketball on Sunday into a shoulder workout on Monday was probably not bright.
Mm-hmm.
So there's two yoga balls in the turf area. Jake walks up to one, and the guy's like, Jake's like, "Are you using that?" And he's like, "Yeah, I am. Yeah."
Let's consult the douche meter.
And then he gets on there and does some trapezius orangutan-looking BS
You're a douche.
that has no value to your physical well-being.
That guy's definitely a douche.
And just walks around. He's that guy that just walks around the turf, shaking his legs out, like he's bouncing to his music. And it's like, dude, who are you trying to impress?
Are people myriad?
Right? Like, that was all that was going through. Like, who are
douche,
you
bro.
trying to impress?
Like, I just can't. I don't get guys who go into the gym for the vanity of it. I don't get it. Like, it's never been my thing. I don't get why it's a point of pride for you to flip someone the bird who wants to use the exercise ball. And you literally came to the gym for like 15 minutes to use the exercise ball, and then you left. Like, it just is, it's odd to me. It's weird to me.
I would agree with that.
Like, it's silly.
And then there's Selling Sunset.
Mm-hmm.
Jake's new favorite show.
I always enjoyed that show.
I'm not a fan. I watched it because everybody watched it, and I kind of got into it. I didn't hate it like I hate Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Yeah, it's way better than Real Housewives of Salt Lake City.
Like, I hate that show.
Yeah.
I hate that show. And yet, we wind up watching it. So I can tolerate Selling Sunset. But here's my question, I guess. Like, what are you watching on TV? I don't watch that much TV anymore. Like,
sports, that's it.
Yeah, our DVR is
Like,
full. And we sat down last night and we watched Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
Honey.
And we watched Chicago PD.
Right.
From last week.
Right.
Like, I'm not even up to date on 9 out of 10 things. Like, I haven't watched Gold Rush in a month.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a bunch of Gold Rush sitting in the DVR.
Yeah. I'm not even kidding. Sports. That's what I watch. I've got like, so I have the basketball package, the hockey package. I've got the baseball like I got all the sports packages outside the Sunday Ticket. And
I have the Sunday Ticket.
And you have the Sunday Ticket. And so it's literally, because think about it. I mean, now that time changed, I have an extra hour at night, which is nice. I enjoyed that last night. But it's pretty much just watching the Jazz or whatever. I mean, that's basically what I watch.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And my wife hates basketball. So it's tough for me to – I feel bad watching basketball games. But we generally, when we watch stuff, we're just not watching a lot of stuff on TV right now. It's weird. Like, I can't think of a show that we regularly watch.
Yeah, I chose not to get HBO for Succession. I chose not to do it.
So. That's also in my DVR, Succession. So I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I just think that there's not enough hours in the day.
Let me guess. Jeremy Bolton says, "Let me guess. Is he the same guy, the gym douche, who takes 10 dumbbells at a time and has a gallon jug? He had a gallon jug of water.
Yeah, he had a gallon jug of water in a bag, and he had the bright ass Beats headphones,
and he had the dress socks and tennis shoes, and he was soft. He wasn't cut. Like you're there for people to look at you.
Yeah, which is so funny considering you're not like cut or anything.
Yeah. Fat Jesus says, of course you don't go to the gym for vanity.
Why would you?
What are you trying to say, man?
Why would you?
Why are you calling me fat? Why are you calling me fat, man? Fat Jesus says Yellowstone on Paramount. Everybody says to watch Yellowstone.
I kind of want to watch that. That seems like a fun show.
Me too. You should play the music because we got to go.
Yeah.
Mrs. Monty's crabby again.
Really?
Yeah. She's in a bad mood. She's upset. She's upset she actually didn't knock me all the way off the bed last night.
Got it. So. She's yeah, okay. All right, yeah.
If she didn't realize she had, she would have just, probably would have knocked me off the bed. Wait, what now?
Lies. These are all lies.
No, they're not. Do you realize how much bed you left me to sleep on last night?
This is what you guys are here for.
No.
Honey.
Do you realize how little bed we have a California king.
You roll
Margin
all the way to the edge of your bed.
Oh, now it's my fault.
You do.
It's my fault.
You have all kinds of room to come over.
Marge and I were chilling on the end of the bed, right? And again, Marge is my
Facts.
my body pillow's name is Marge.
Okay.
And so Marge and I are just chilling on the, cuddling together on the end of the bed.
Right.
Because Mrs. Monty is right behind us.
Right.
So Marge and I are sitting there talking about our day and, how things went and, spending quality time together.
Right.
And Mrs. Monty's like, no, you guys can just get off the bed.
That's not what we're about.
So, yeah, that's not. I'm kidding. Like, Mrs. Monty and I actually, curl up.
So did she almost knock you off the bed?
Yeah, I woke up at one point to go to the bathroom. Me and Nighttime P got chilled at 2 o'clock. And Marge was on the floor,
And kick a person when he's down.
And then I came back and she was all rolled up all the way on her side of the bed.
Okay.
So from 2:50 to 4:30, I was good to go.
Got it. Okay.
But she also, when we went to bed, covered me up with a weighted blanket. The weighted blanket when it's cold, hell yeah. The weighted blanket's where it's at.
But when it's hot, you're not about it.
No, man. No.
Well, hey, at least you're finding things out.
Mrs. Monty, you have nothing to add?
Hello.
Honey.
I have work to do.
Okay. Fine. Good 10-second contribution to the show. Now play the music.
Yeah, well, you were blessed with my presence. So that's all that matters.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. I was crabby when I went to bed last night, so I really shouldn't be saying. I hate that I have to go to bed so early. I hate it. We went for a nice walk after work. Now that work's over at 5:30, we went for a nice walk yesterday.
Just get over it. Go
was
to
good.
bed.
Yeah, I just need to go to bed.
She said get over it, dude.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and I'll be going to bed in Maui.
Yeah.
Suck it.
Let's go.
All right, gotta go. Make sure you hit subscribe on this channel right here. Give us a thumbs up. Bye.
Bye.
Hit subscribe. Enter to win the Xbox. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.